Hey, this is Jared, RikaKazak Bartlett, bringing you another video for ivyleague.com. And today we're going to be playing 4 tables of full ring, of course, because I'm the full ring guy. And I've got 2 tables of NL 200, 2 tables of NL 100. And we'll see if we can get into some interesting situations. Um, Real quick, I always get asked every single time I make a Bovada video, how do I have a HUD since they're anonymous tables? The HUD I use is called Hold'em Indicator, and you can just Google Hold'em Indicator. I think it's 70 euros. That's just off the top of my head. Don't quote me. But if you do play a lot on Bovada like I do, it's definitely worth it. The downside is you only get hands for the particular session. The upside is, well, you're not playing against a bunch of. I refer to people who just play based off HUDs as HUD bots, human HUD bots. But on this top left-hand table, it looks like we're going to get into an interesting spot. Player 1 open limped, and so I'm going to go ahead and mark him as a bad player. If you didn't know on Bovada, you can color code people like I just did. With him open limping, with him having 80 big blinds, with him playing 50% of hands over 4 hands, all those factors add together. I'm going to go ahead and call him a fish. And the reason why I like to mark people, and I use green for fish, is because then if I'm maybe focused on a hand on the bottom right hand table, and that particular player 1 leaves and a different player 1 sits in, then that node actually disappears. So that's how you can kind of keep track of if you are playing against the same people. You can kind of watch people if they leave or come and go without having to pay attention at every single table at all times. I'm trying to decide if I want a continuation bet. This guy's playing 56% of hands. This guy's playing 50% of hands. Seems like they're both loose, playing lots of hands. That's a pretty connected board. I'm going to go ahead and check it behind. Heads up, if it was just against one of the players, like let's say player 1 limp called and player 2 folded, then I would have gone ahead and continuation bet because, I still had ace high. He might limp call with something like jack 10, king jack, king queen, all those type of hands that it's nice just to be able to take it down right then. Also, even if he would call, I do have 2 overcards. And every once in a while on like a 4-5-8 board, they'll actually limp call and then check call with something like ace 6, ace 7. So even in a heads up pot, when they do call your c bet, sometimes your ace queen high is simply just good enough. And players who are bad enough to limp call under the gun, have odd stack sizes, those type of players will sometimes let you get to showdown. Whereas if it was, me against you, whoever's watching this video, I'd absolutely never let that happen because I'm going to be very, very aggressive. So it looks like he's playing with Queen 3 suited from under the gun, so obviously horrible player. And if you didn't know, Bovada has changed their little layout a little bit. If you do want to see what the other player has, you just click the last hand, or you can click this little replayer and it will replay the last hand. And the other guy had ace 6 of hearts. So I'm definitely going to isolate on this top left-hand table with ace 7 suited. So I opened a 6 in the hijack. I get 3-bet by the small blind. He's a 10-0 over 10 hands. That's not enough hands for me to fold. So I'm going to go ahead and 4-bet, get it in. Wow, him flatting there is quite weird. $91 in the pot. He has $109 behind, and I have the backdoor nut flush draw. I'm going to go ahead and just commit myself. Obviously, he's got pocket nines, jack X. He's going to get it in and have me absolutely crush. But I'm going to go ahead and just bet, get it in. And I think $50 is my best chance of getting maybe like pocket eights or something like that to fold. Obviously, he checks shove. And he's got tens. So, oh well. I am going to call with this 10-9 suited. Notice it was a pretty small open. It was only 2.5x. And player 1's playing a lot of hands and playing really, really bad. So I anticipated if I called, player 1 would also call in the big blind. Well, I've only got $42 because Bovada doesn't have auto top off. So I'm going to go ahead and fold. This check to me, I'm going to go ahead and take a stab because I've got a gutter plus backdoor flush draw. I think if I had no equity here, if I didn't have that gut shot, I wouldn't be making a stab like this just because it was four-way. I don't anticipate number two has anything because he was the pre-flop raiser, and usually when they check four-way, they got nothing, or he absolutely smashed it like a set of queens. But the vast 90% plus of the time, he's going to be check folding. So when I bet there, it's really only three-way or two other hands that I'm scared of. And with the backdoor flush draw, with the gutter to the nuts, I thought it was a decent spot to go ahead and just take a stab and take it from there. Also, I did have position on player one, so some of the times he's going to check call with, say, second pair, and against him I actually have two overcards, a gut shot, and a backdoor flush draw. So there's some double barreling opportunities that I might get him to fold that second pair bad kicker, and hitting a 9 or a 10, I might be able to, get to showdown and just simply be good. But that ace-king on the top right-hand table, I mean, it's unfortunate that we lost our 50-50 there. Well, I guess I'm a 13-10 underdog there. But I think a $50 bet there gives me the best hope of getting something like pocket eights, pocket tens to fold. Obviously, I didn't get tens to fold, but I think that's our best chance. And the pot's so big compared to our stack size, I really don't think anything but just getting it in is good. I mean, even if he shoves and we see pocket tens, it's technically a fold um, because it's a paired board, and we were getting a little less than 2-1. So, but when you add in the times that he's got ace king, you add in the times he's got ace queen, you add in the times he folds pocket eights to my $50 bet, I think it's definitely a positive EV play overall. I mean, let's be honest. It was hijack versus small blind, and I had ace king, and he only had 75 big blinds. It's a fairly standard spot. Every once in a while on this bottom right hand table, when I have something like bottom pair plus a backdoor straight draw, I'll actually check raise from the big blind. I've been doing it more and more lately. It's something that I would say a year ago, 2 years ago, I didn't really ever do, but I've started incorporating it more and more, especially in live poker. I think live poker has a lot more check raising than online poker does. Weird check raising. Maybe that's the best way to word it. Online poker has a lot more like check raise the pre-flop raiser, very standard check raising. Live poker has more creative check raising, I would say. But anyways, where I'm going with that is I've noticed if it's checked to like the last person to act, a lot of times they'll bet their bottom pairs, their gut shots, their um, um, backdoor flush draws, just things like that. And if I check raise from the big blind, it looks like I could easily have any two pair because I'm the big blind. On king 4-2, I could have 4-2, I could have king 2, I could have king 4. It's just I could have a set of twos. And so I found I get a lot of credit, a lot of believability because I'm in the big blind. Lots of any two pairs make sense, and most people put me on those two pairs. And because they were the last one to act, I found that they're smart enough to know that if anybody else had anything, they probably would have bet. So they're betting a very, very weak range. So basically where I'm going with that is I wouldn't have in this particular spot because player 2 bet, player 4 was still behind to act. Um, you know, and so I give player two's bet a little more credit. Also, he's playing 73% of hands. Um, so he's very, very loose. He's not very likely to fold top pair and all that. But that kind of situation just kind of made me think of that play overall. I've been incorporating it in my game a lot more often lately, and I've been having tremendous success with it. So it might be something that, if it's a three-way limped pot, you're in the big blind, you check, other guy checks, button bets. Think about maybe check raising that person. Maybe he's betting second pairs. What you want to find is tight, aggressive players. And the reason why I'm trying to think, here might be a good example. I'm trying to think what I can rep. I can represent a fives. I can rep king jack. I'm gonna give it a shot. Oops, don't time out. I'm trying to think if I want to raise this really big and try to isolate and steal or not. I think one will limp call with too many better ace X's. And player 3 might even, with ace 7 suited, I would have raised preflop here from the small blind. With ace 7 off, I'm going to go ahead and just fold. And here's a good example on the top right hand table. The other things to consider on the top right hand table is I did have a gut shot to the nuts. I also did have a backdoor nut flush draw. And if you had something like king queen, I still had the ace as an overcard.